If you've been afflicted with Ciguatera and are searching for ways that you can help manage it, today I want to give you my story and what I did with my eating, my exercising, my detox, and how long it took for me to recover, in the hopes that this can help you in the management of your symptoms. Now, before we get going, I want to be very, very clear. I am not a doctor. I am not a registered dietitian. I'm not a nutritionist. I am a personal trainer, but that did not help me very much in this situation. I do, however, want to let you know some of the things that helped me throughout the process. And today I'm going to share some of these with you. Now, if you are here and you're watching this, that probably means you have Ciguatera, or you have someone in your life who's afflicted with it and you're trying to help them. I had never heard of it before I contracted it. The short of my story is my family and I were vacationing in the Bahamas. We went to a steakhouse. I don't love red meat, and so I got the fresh fish of the day, which was snapper. And that night got incredibly sick, probably the sickest I've ever been, even more than in my 20s and when I drank too much. And kind of started a sequence of events, and I actually was diagnosed relatively quickly, which was good. Once I was diagnosed, I, of course, went to Dr. Google trying to figure out how to manage this, because unfortunately most medical providers in my area haven't heard of it. It's not their fault. I mean, this is listed on rarediseases.org. So I really became my own advocate and tried to find the things that would work for me. Now, just so you know, I am a little bit of a health nut. I'm a health geek, and I am a personal trainer, so I move a lot. To learn that intense exercise was off the table really put a damper not only in my movement, but also in my brain, because I really need to move in order for my brain to feel right. But today I want to go through the things that I implemented for my life. Some of them may work for you, some of them may not. There's no science to this. The important thing is trying some things and seeing what works well for you and your body. Let's talk about food first. Everything I read on the internet said stay away from fish, nuts, caffeine, and alcohol. I will tell you, those are kind of four of my main food groups. I mean, I really enjoy all of those. I mean, for crying out loud, I got fish at a steakhouse. The other thing I discovered on an article on the National Institute of Health is you should also avoid chicken and pork. So that meant I stayed away from fish, nuts, caffeine, alcohol, chicken, and pork. When I would tell my friends this, they would say, well, what are you eating? And that was a really fair question. The first thing I did was I made sure I ate at home. I found I can't really trust the ingredients. In fact, even when I cooked at home, until I learned to really read the labels, I still ran into problems. I marinated some chicken one night. This was before I figured out the chicken part. And the marinade had Worcestershire sauce in it. Well, guess what an ingredient in Worcestershire sauce is? Anchovies, which is fish. And so that put me into an itching frenzy. Now, because I was plant-based and I wasn't able to eat any meat, you do have to be a little more intentional about your protein and making sure that you have enough. No, I didn't need to have 200 grams of protein a day, but I did need to have enough for sustainability. One of the greatest things that I have, and I've been using this for years and years, is Healthy Skoop. It's a plant-based protein. It's made from organic ingredients, really good stuff. Like, you recognize everything on it, which is really nice. And this is something that I would have at least one of these a day. One scoop has 16 grams of protein. So that helped me ensure that I got enough protein for the day. Once I figured out all of my limitations, I really decided I needed to figure out some batch prep plant-based meals. I have two cookbooks that really help me with this. The first one is the Engine 2 Cookbook by Rip Esselstyn and Jane Esselstyn, they're brother and sister. This is a plant-based cookbook. It's really, really good. And it really, you can see how I bookmarked all of these recipes that I wanted to try or did try. These recipes are hearty. They stick to your ribs. They are obviously nutritious. And what I did was I just made a batch of whatever it was that I found, and I ate it all week long. And by the end of the week, I was really tired of it and I would make something new the next week. I was already a huge fan of this one and then the original one, which is Run Fast, Eat Slow. But in this, they have some really great plant-based recipes. Not all of them. There's a really great salmon one in there. Stayed away from that one. But those are two really great cookbooks. I highly recommend you check these cookbooks out or just go find a plant-based website or Pinterest or something like that where you can batch cook your foods. I also figured out that gluten really bothered my neuropathy, which is that burning, itching, pain in my feet that I would experience at night. So gluten did that, and also sugar. And I think I figured that out when I ate a piece of cookie cake one night and my feet were on fire and miserable for several hours. So I stayed away from that. I also drank a lot of kefir. Here in America, a lot of people say it kefir, which is what I said, and I recently learned that's the wrong way to say it. Kefir is a probiotic. It's a dairy-based drink, but it's also 99.9% lactose-free, so it was something that I could have, even though I tend to have a little bit of dairy sensitivity sometimes. One of my very favorite foods became pumpkin seeds, because those are seeds and not nuts, and they fulfilled that need for me to put something in my salad, which I batch prepped. All in all, I felt like it was a really great food to add to what I was eating. Okay, how did I detox? A friend of mine is a nurse, and she reminded there's 3 ways that you can get toxins out of your body. You can pee them out, you can poop them out, and you can sweat it out. And so I was on a mission to get stuff out of my body as best as I could. The best way I knew how to do that was drinking a lot of water. I challenged myself to drink a full gallon of water every day. And I know that's a lot, and that's about twice as much as what's recommended, but I really wanted to get everything flowing. What I did was I got just a regular, I think I got this at $5 at Academy, a little half-gallon jug. I filled it up with water in the morning because I don't want to be drinking out of this all day. So I would fill it up and then pour it into my glasses. And then I didn't have to think and have to count the ounces and count the cups and all of that business. I just knew I needed to get through 2 of these a day. Did I get through 2 of these a day? No, but I did most days, and I tried. Sometimes there was a little left. Another thing I did for detoxing was another healthy Skoop product. This one is called Daily Detox. It has milk thistle, fermented turmeric, dandelion root, and green tea. I have to hold it far away because my eyes don't work very well anymore. But this was a really good thing to add to the protein shakes that I was making. Again, just trying to detox, trying to pull everything out. The other thing that I would do is take apple cider vinegar shots. I know, they're disgusting, they're gross, but I know that there is a lot of science that suggests that maybe that can be helpful in detoxifying our system. I did find these little daily shots, and it kind of had some mixers in with it. So this one had ginger and honey. It's by Vermont Village. I found another one with blueberry and something else, maybe honey, I can't really remember. That made it a little more palatable, and I would just mix this up with some water. Hey, you got to do what you got to do. Now, in order to sweat things out, I took advantage of my Houston weather. I got outside, I moved as I could. I mentioned I am a personal trainer, so I was actually having a lot of classes that I led outside. That just really led to natural opportunities to get out there and sweat a lot. And then finally, I got a massage. I have a great relationship with a massage therapist, and really kind of told her what my goal was. She really focused on my lymphatic system, and I could tell you that she really worked that over, because I could feel in certain areas my lymph nodes kind of swollen the next day. And so of course I drank all that water and tried to flush it out. But that was another way that I really tried to get the toxins out, was anything that was stuck in my lymph nodes, I wanted those out too. Okay, so what supplements did I take? Now again, a reminder, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a registered dietitian, I have no medical background to be able to formally recommend any of this. I'm just telling you what worked for me, and do your own research, talk to your own medical provider. I really don't want anyone coming after me. As I was looking through and as I was researching, I really found these little common threads and I tried to put them together and apply them to myself. One of those was B12. I read a lot of stories. I watched some videos about people who would take B12 either orally or through an IV. And so I thought, well, why not? Let's give that a shot, especially since I'm not having any meat anyway. I knew that I wasn't getting a whole lot of B12. So I did take a sublingual B12, which is the kind, they're little drops that go under the tongue. So that way they are absorbed a little bit more readily. I also took a PRP B6. The PRP means it's broken down a little bit easier. And I will tell you, sometimes when we take a lot of vitamins, we can really see that after we go to the bathroom. And I did not. So that told me that my body was really absorbing all of this, which made me really happy because I hoped that it meant that it was doing what it needed to be doing. I also took a heavy duty probiotic. Again, that first night was really bad. Lots of vomiting, lots of diarrhea. And so I knew that I had to get my gut back and healthy before it could help heal my body. So in addition to the kefir, I did take a really heavy duty probiotic that had 100 billion particles. The one thing I did take out was my multivitamin, which seems a little strange, but my multivitamin had some powdered greens in it. Well, sometimes those powdered greens come from spirulina or algae and stuff in the water. And let's be honest, that's the source of all of the toxins that the fish are eating. So I just figured I'd rather play it safe and I took that out. And quite honestly, I haven't been brave enough to try it again. I don't know when I will be. Okay, exercise. Everything I read said stay away from intense exercise. Now, of course, intense is defined by different people in different ways. I work out a lot. Sometimes I like intensity, sometimes I don't. And this was really confusing to me on what to do. My husband was really wise and he said, Amy, you've got to approach this as an injury. And so taking everything back, like if I were to blow out my knee, I wouldn't go back right into it and work hard. I would allow it to heal and then I would start walking a little and I would do a little bit of physical therapy and start stair-stepping that up. And so that's how I really felt like I needed to approach this as well. Now, because there's really not a whole lot of science and there's not a whole lot of research to tell us exactly what to do, I really had to just pay attention to my own body. So I just tried some things. Sometimes it was fine and sometimes it was way too much. I totally paid for it and I had to take naps. In fact, I actually took naps probably every day for the first 2 or 3 weeks, and then I was able to start tapering them off. Sleep and rest and recovery, by the way, is huge to this. Your body only heals itself when it's resting and when it's recovering. So make sure that you're giving yourself plenty of sleep. I did take this as an opportunity to use my body in different ways that I don't normally do. So I practiced yoga. I did a mobility workout that I found online, and I really just started off with walking. I walked my dog, I walked with my friends. They were really great and gracious and walked slowly with me, but I moved, but not so much that I really felt it and it really dragged me down. And then finally, recovery time. That's of course what I wanted to know. Everything I read said you can have these symptoms for up to 6 months. And then when I started getting on support groups, it was like, oh, I've had it for 2 years. I've had it for 20 years. And that was it was just too much for me. I'm here to tell you my symptoms lasted about 6 weeks. I felt really crummy the first 2 to 3 weeks. I took a daily nap for about 4 weeks, and then I was able to ramp up. After 6 weeks, I feel maybe 95% better. I still don't eat any meat, and nuts seem to bother me, so I haven't really been eating those, but I can have caffeine, yay for coffee in the morning, and I can have my wine, which I do really enjoy. Hey, I hope this gives you hope. I hope it gives you some tools in a toolbox. You don't have to use them all, but maybe they'll help you in your recovery. Hey, if you don't mind, would you please like this video so that way we can get this out to other people who are searching for information on their own Ciguatera journey. Here at Graced Health, I try to give you ways to find balance and health and grace in the kitchen, in the gym, and in the Word. If you feel like this would serve you, please make sure you subscribe as well. I wish you continued healing, and I hope you have a graced day. Bye.